Do you have a camper van, or would you like to travel in a camper van? Today I'm with my mum and dad. Hello!
Hello.
And they have a camper van. They live in the north of England, but when they can, they go travelling in their camper van. Hello, welcome to smileEnglishstories Unplugged, where I chat to fluent and native English speakers. If we speak too quickly or too slowly, you can change the speed in YouTube. So have you had your camper van for a long time?
Yes, we've had it for 15 years or so now. So I suppose you can say that's quite a long time. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And have you used it a lot?
Yes, we've used it each year. Up to 2019, we've travelled in Europe to various places. And also in England in the spring and the autumn when the children are back at school.
You don't use it in the winter?
We haven't done recently, no.
I could imagine it might be a little bit cold in the winter.
Yes, so there is heating in the van, but even so, yes.
Okay. And you said you have been abroad, so to a country that's not England. Do you have a favourite place?
Well, not really, no. We've been to various countries and wherever we've gone, we've really enjoyed it. Slovenia and Czech Republic, Germany, Italy, France, Spain, all interesting places to visit.
And are any places, I don't know, more expensive than other places? Perhaps campsites are more expensive in one country than another?
Well, yes, in Germany, I think they're more expensive, but we don't tend to use campsites if possible. We did in Czech Republic and in Slovenia, but in France, Germany and Spain, you can use what are known as airs, French word airs, yeah. Where you can park overnight. Special places for camper vans where you can park overnight. Quite often it doesn't cost anything, or sometimes just a small amount. €10 would be probably the most expensive that we've ever paid, really.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not so bad. So the most expensive is probably petrol then, diesel.
Oh yes. That's okay. For us travelling from England to say northern Italy or central Italy, it's quite a lot in diesel, yes.
Dad, I know you've been travelling a lot more in England recently and you're hoping to be able to go again because of course at the moment it's a bit complicated with COVID. A lot of the people I know here in France have been to England, but more to London. They don't really know a lot about the rest of England. So if they wanted to travel in a camper van in England, is it easy?
Well, it's not difficult. It's not that much different than traveling in Europe. The main difference, I think, is that we don't have the same number of equivalent of the airs that you have in France. There are places, I think, where you can camp for free, but the other problem is that it's much busier, I think, in the UK than it is in, say, France or Spain. Well, certainly northern Spain. There are a lot more camper vans per square metre, if you will. So okay, yeah. A lot of the places where you can stay get quite full. So we have tended to book in advance when we've been in England. We're members of the Caravan and Motorhome Club. You can book on their campsites ahead and you don't have to pay until you actually arrive. And of course, luckily you can cancel a couple of days beforehand if any problem occurs that you can't get there. the Caravan Club also has what it calls certificated locations, which are in the majority of cases, they're perhaps on farms, and they will only take about 5, well, the maximum of 5 caravans or motorhomes. So
that's a little bit more peaceful, perhaps, on places like that.
Generally speaking, yes. Sometimes they may be near a factory that's in the country, but generally speaking, yes, very quiet.
Or a cop waking you up very early in the morning. Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Yes, that happens too.
We tend to like those if we can, but you can't book those through the Caravan Club. You got to contact them directly.
Okay, now a lot of people listening are probably not from England. Can you be part of these clubs if you're a foreigner, if you're from another country?
I think probably so. I think so, but I don't really know. I don't really know.
Okay. You can some of the sites are members only, and some of them are open to anybody. But it's more expensive if you're not a club member.
Club member.
You have to pay more, yeah.
And do you know if there are any other places online where you can book a camper
lots
van?
of places, yeah.
Well, there are lots of campsites, private ones, and there are other clubs as well. There's the
Caravan and Camping Club.
Yeah.
Perhaps I could put 1 or 2 links under the video.
Say you wanted to stay near, for example, Bath in the south. You know, you could just put Bath into the Google and look, say campsites or caravan sites near Bath, and they come up. You know, so you can see what price they are and book that way. Most places you can book online now.
And how far in advance, how much time before would you think it's better to book?
Yeah, well, it depends when you're going. I mean, if you're going in the holiday season, you probably need to book months beforehand, particularly for weekends, because quite often they're just full. If you turn up and they're full, you've got to find somewhere else.
Okay. But out of season?
Well, out of season, yeah. I mean, hopefully we are going in about a fortnight's time, and we booked 2 sites to visit about nearly 2 months ago now.
At least 2 months ago, yeah.
We have looked on the website and they're still not full yet, but they are full at weekends.
Okay.
That's the problem. If you want to stay somewhere over a weekend, it's difficult to find somewhere, you know, unless you book a long time ahead.
So a lot of British people like campervanning in England or Scotland, Ireland or Wales too.
Going off for the weekend.
And particularly at the moment, of course.
Yeah,
of course, yeah, because we can't go anywhere else.
You're self-contained. You're self-contained in your van. You've got everything that you need there. So it's sort of more COVID safe than anywhere else you wouldn't stay.
I know what I wanted to ask you. What are the roads like? I mean, I know people in France sometimes are a little bit scared, a little bit reluctant of going to England because we drive on the left.
In England?
How do you find driving the camper van in the UK compared to perhaps here in Europe?
Well, and we've driven more miles in Europe than we have in England, than in the UK, because obviously the distances are much further. We don't really have any problem driving in France, Spain, Germany. The roads are, generally speaking, perhaps not quite as busy, particularly in France, the roads we go on, because we don't tend to go, if we can go through the countryside, we'll go through the countryside. And of course, in the van, you are a bit higher up, so you can see further ahead. The big problem, of course, the main problem, of course, is overtaking.
Yeah, going past somebody.
Particularly trying to get past French
Tractors.
farmers and the tractors.
Which are always everywhere in June.
Yeah, even before.
Yeah.
So for people from the continent coming to England, it will be the same problem. I think our roads are a little bit more, not the main roads, but the country roads are a little bit more windy, bendy.
Yeah.
So you've just got to follow the car in front, although generally speaking, the cars drive faster anyway.
And there's a lot more hedges and walls here at each side of the narrow lanes, you know, so it's very difficult.
You can't see as far ahead.
And pulling into the side can be a bit tricky if there's a big wall there. Get some scratches on the van.
Okay. And we talked about having to book campsites. Are the facilities quite good in the campsites in England?
Certainly the caravan club sites, they are, yes. They've got the toilet blocks, electricity is included. You're usually on what's called a hard standing, you're not on grass.
Okay. That's important in England if it does happen to rain.
Because we have on occasion been stuck in a
really?
buggy.
Not just in England.
So the toilet facilities, of course, have toilets and showers, and
very clean.
And there are places to empty your wastewater and empty the chemical toilet. So
and fill up with water.
And fill up with water.
Mm.
So
it's all very easy, really.
Okay, so I was thinking perhaps if we could talk quickly budget. Is it more expensive in England?
I think quick answer, yes.
Well, of course, I mean, it depends. If you were in France and went to one of these big caravan sites with swimming pool and all the rest of it, then it's quite expensive there. I would say the caravan club sites here are between about £18 to £25.
Okay, so that's like 20 to 30 euros about.
Yeah.
Okay.
The certificated locations on the farms are more like, well, we're going to stay in one soon that's only £5 for the night, but there's no electricity there, no facilities apart from emptying. But you can pay 15 or even up to £20 because some of them are really quite high standard.
Okay, what else did I want to ask you? So yeah, Mum, you have been to a lot of places in the UK. Are there any places you would recommend that are nice in a camper van? I know you prefer countryside to towns. That's more your thing, is the countryside. But where do you think people should explore?
That's everywhere.
That's difficult.
Everywhere.
Depends what you like. If you like walking, or do you like visiting places where there's museums, churches, interesting gardens and all that sort of thing. You know, we tend to vary it. We visit all sorts of places. We have a look what's in the area we're going to and see if we can work it in to visit anything of interest. You know, like we've been to places with airfields, old airfields and lots of aeroplanes, and been to places with trains to visit old villages, walks, parks, gardens from old houses that are owned by what's called the National Trust, but that's another story.
All those sort of places are not usually a problem for parking, but visiting cities, that becomes a little bit more of a problem, parking, as in any country. A lot of car parks perhaps are underground or multi-storey, and you've got the height problem then. And even some open air car parks have height restrictions. So sometimes we tend to look ahead and see what the parking facilities could be. And if they're so difficult, sometimes there are some cities have park and ride. So you can park the camper van and catch a bus into the town. We have done that in a few places in England.
Okay. So what you're saying is, I think, is England, there's quite a lot of variety, lots of different things you could do.
Yes,
And of
usually
course
quite
we're
close
in,
together. Mm.
yeah, and of course it's an island as well, and so there's a lot of things to do on the coast.
Around the coast.
Around the coast, but you can also go inland. So perhaps we should meet again sometime and talk about some of the different places that you could go. Yeah. Okay. And you don't really have a favorite place that you remember?
In UK?
Yeah, the UK. Yeah.
Well, interesting experiences like going right up to the north of Scotland, you know,
yeah.
Seeing the sea all the way around the coast and the birds on the cliffs and all that sort of thing.
Um,
Going down south into Devon, very interesting there.
We have been to pretty well most areas of England and maybe Scotland and Wales. We have not been to Northern Ireland, but I don't think I would say I've got a particular favourite place that I would keep going back to year after year like some people do.
Okay, no, we like to go somewhere new and find something we haven't seen before.
But because we've had the van for 15 years now, we're probably starting to repeat ourselves a little.
So tell us, where are you going then in a couple of weeks, in a fortnight?
Well, first we're going to visit our other daughter, and then from there we're going to carry on down south of London, sort of south central England, an area called West Sussex. It's just below Windsor. You've probably heard of Windsor.
Yeah, Windsor's been in the news recently because of Prince Philip, etc. And it's where the Queen is usually resident now, I think.
Well, she's been isolating there during the pandemic, yes.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have a look at that area as much as we can, hoping things will be a bit more open there by the time we get there. Things are supposed to be better by then.
But if things aren't open, there is plenty of countryside and plenty of coast to walk along and visit.
Most of England has a coast path now, so there's always somewhere you can walk by the sea.
Great. Nice. Well, I hope you have some good weather.
Well, that would be nice.
If we have the same weather then that we've had for the last fortnight, that'll be great.
Yeah, because it's
been sunny, has it? Yeah.
More likely the south than the north.
Well, have a lovely time. I'll speak to you soon. Thanks a lot for chatting to us this morning.
Okay then.
You're welcome.
Okay, take care then.
Bye.
Bye for now. Bye.